For 3 decades, Johnny Carson reigned as the king of late night, becoming a familiar companion in the living rooms of millions of American families. 5 nights a week, he appeared on television with calm composure, a charming smile, and a magnetic presence that few could match. Carson had the remarkable ability to handle any situation, whether it was a serious conversation or a playful exchange filled with humor. Yet the truth is, even he couldn't always control what unfolded during live broadcasts. In those unscripted, chaotic, and unpredictable moments, audiences discovered a different side of Carson, spontaneous, genuine, and irresistibly captivating. These were the moments that elevated his show into legend. And now, let's count down the 16 wildest moments in Johnny Carson's career, and trust me, number 8 will absolutely leave you stunned. In 1965, American television witnessed one of the most unexpectedly hilarious moments in live broadcasting history. That night's guest was Ed Ames, a popular singer and actor, best known for playing Mingo in the series Daniel Boone. Johnny Carson, with his calm charm and sharp wit, invited Ames to demonstrate a special skill on stage, tomahawk throwing. A wooden board featuring the outline of a cowboy was set up as the target. The studio audience watched in anticipation. Ames took his stance, gripped the tomahawk, and let it fly. Instead of hitting the chest or shoulder as expected, the blade landed squarely in the most sensitive area of the cowboy figure. The crowd erupted instantly. The roar of laughter lasted so long that it became one of the most famous audience reactions ever recorded on live television. Johnny Carson seized the moment. With his natural instinct for comedy, he stopped Ames from pulling the tomahawk out, leaving the scene intact so the laughter could continue. What could have been an embarrassing accident turned into pure comedy gold, a spontaneous performance shared between host and audience alike. What made this moment legendary was Carson's ability to turn randomness into art. Amid the waves of laughter, he delivered a line that went down in showbiz history: "I didn't even know you were Jewish." That perfectly timed quip sent the audience into another round of uncontrollable laughter. Even Ed Ames couldn't hold back, joking that maybe he should consider switching careers. This fateful tomahawk throw would be replayed countless times in highlight reels of The Tonight Show and blooper specials. Decades later, whenever the clip resurfaces, it still makes viewers laugh as hard as if they were seeing it for the first time. The story is a reminder of the magic of live television, where anything can happen. Sometimes, it's the accidents and imperfections that create the most lasting memories. For Johnny Carson, that night reinforced his status as a master of improvisation, able to turn any mishap into a legend. And for audiences, it remains a timeless treasure from the golden era of late-night television. Some unexpected incidents on television become legendary, not because they were carefully staged, but because they reflect the spontaneity, wit, and genuine personalities of the performers. One such moment is the story of the broken cigarette box between Johnny Carson and Don Rickles, a situation that seemed trivial at the time, yet entered the history of American television. The cigarette box was just a simple ornament on Carson's desk, but it had been there since 1967, almost becoming a part of him and the show itself. It wasn't a priceless treasure, but rather an item with sentimental value, familiar to audiences who tuned in every night. In December 1976, during an episode of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson hosted by Bob Newhart as guest host, Don Rickles appeared as a guest. Known as a master of insult comedy who thrived on surprises, Rickles, in a moment of mischief, picked up Carson's cigarette box and began using it like a rubber stamp, slamming it repeatedly on the desk to illustrate his improvised routine. In an instant, the box broke apart, leaving behind a mix of laughter and awkwardness. The audience burst into laughter, while Rickles pretended to panic, hiding his embarrassment by continuing with his jokes. But what truly made the incident unforgettable was Johnny Carson's reaction the following night. Carson did not get angry, nor did he scold Rickles backstage. Instead, he turned the accident into a brilliant comedy sketch right on air. He marched into the studio where Rickles was filming his sitcom CPO. Sharkey, holding the broken box in his hand, walked straight onto the set in front of the audience, and confronted his friend while the cameras were rolling. "You big dummy," Carson exclaimed, feigning irritation. The entire audience erupted in laughter. Rickles scrambled to explain himself, while Carson continued with playful jabs. The atmosphere became electric, as if the audience had just witnessed a rare, unscripted duel between two comedy legends. That moment has since been remembered as proof of improvisation, humor, and the warmth of true friendship. It showed that Carson was not only a gifted host but also someone who could turn any mishap into laughter. And Rickles, with his awkward yet endearing response, only made viewers love him more. More than 4 decades later, the broken cigarette box is still recalled whenever people talk about legendary moments on television. It was more than just a damaged wooden box, it became a cherished memory, proving that sometimes the most unexpected events turn into the most treasured gems in the hearts of fans. The stage lights brightened as Dean Martin stepped into view, his familiar smile and signature cocktail in hand, signaling that an energetic, unforgettable moment was about to unfold. Every appearance of Dean Martin on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson carried its own unique charm, fondly remembered by fans as Dean Martin's gift. Dean Martin, smooth-voiced, stylish, witty, and effortlessly charming, brought a special energy wherever he went. He was more than just a singer or actor, he embodied the spirit of spontaneity and entertainment. For Johnny Carson, Dean's presence was like a refreshing breeze, an invisible gift that made the show lively and full of laughter. That memorable night, Dean walked onto the stage with calm confidence, cocktail in hand, a smile that was both playful and warm. Carson greeted him with a mix of excitement and cautious anticipation, knowing that Dean could spring a surprise or deliver an unexpected comic moment at any time. Without any elaborate script, Dean handed Carson his drink and quipped, "Go ahead, try it, it's a trade secret." The audience erupted in laughter as Carson feigned hesitation but finally took a sip. In that instant, the crowd roared when Carson pretended to cough dramatically, creating a hilarious scene, the composed host trying a playful gift from his mischievous guest, interacting with the audience in perfect timing. Dean Martin's gift was not material, it was his humor, charm, and natural charisma. He had a rare talent for turning everyday gestures into captivating entertainment. And Johnny Carson, with his masterful improvisation, joined him to make the conversation an unforgettable performance. What made this moment legendary wasn't the joke itself, but the way two masters of their craft complemented and supported each other on stage. Carson provided the foundation for Martin to shine, while Martin brought joy and energy that Carson skillfully amplified for millions of viewers. More than 4 decades later, Dean Martin's appearances with Johnny Carson are still remembered as some of the most delightful moments in television history. It wasn't just a performance, it was proof of the power of authenticity, humor, and camaraderie in show business. For audiences, Dean Martin's gift remains a symbol of endless joy, a sweet memory in the annals of American television. The NBC stage sparkled under the lights, music played, and viewers across the nation eagerly watched. That day, Tiny Tim, the singer famous for his ukulele and unique voice, was about to do something no one could have imagined: get married live on national television. Tiny Tim's wedding with his fiancée Vicki Buttinger, also known as Miss Vicki, took place on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson on December 17, 1969, instantly becoming a legendary moment in American television history. Tiny Tim, with his unusual appearance, long hair, and vintage suit, walked onto the stage with a solemn yet charming demeanor. Behind him, the set was adorned with 10,000 imported tulips from the Netherlands, transforming a TV studio into a fairy-tale wedding scene. Viewers watching at home were astonished. Few had ever witnessed an actual wedding unfold on one of America's most famous talk shows. Johnny Carson, the show's host, welcomed the couple with friendly smiles and light-hearted congratulations. He turned this unusual situation into a moment both humorous and touching. Tiny Tim, with his characteristic nasal voice, sang his signature song Tiptoe Through the Tulips, filling the studio with joy and emotion. The audience laughed, applauded, and many were moved by the happiness radiating from the couple. Everything unfolded almost perfectly, Miss Vicki glowing in her white wedding dress, Tiny Tim standing beside her with his ukulele, exchanging rings and lifelong vows. This simple yet extraordinary moment broke the norms of traditional weddings, turning it into a unique cultural and entertainment event. The Tiny Tim wedding was more than a television show, it symbolized an era when pop culture and American television merged, creating surprising and lively moments. It demonstrated the power of television to connect audiences, offering a live experience remembered by millions. Over 50 years later, the image of Tiny Tim and Miss Vicki exchanging rings under NBC's stage lights still lives on in fans' memories. This moment stands as a testament to creativity, individuality, and joy in entertainment. It reminds us that sometimes the most unexpected and unique events become the most cherished memories, not only for the audience but for the participants themselves. The stage lights sparkled as the audience applauded Betty White, the seasoned actress with over 7 decades of experience, when she appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson on September 14, 1981. No one expected that what seemed like an ordinary talk show would turn into a legendary moment, where Betty White showcased her charm and charisma so powerfully that even host Johnny Carson was eclipsed by her brilliance. That evening, The show featured a humorous sketch inspired by the biblical story of Adam and Eve. Betty White played Eve, while Johnny Carson took on the role of Adam. From the very first lines, Betty captured the audience's attention with her playful wit, intelligence, and impeccable improvisational skills. Every gesture and every line she delivered was met with uproarious laughter, and even Johnny Carson couldn't help but laugh at the situations Betty created. The moment Betty overshadowed Carson wasn't just about humor, it was about the confidence and charm she displayed effortlessly. She had the ability to transform any situation into a lively and unpredictable performance, making the audience feel as though they were witnessing theater at its most vibrant. Betty's experience, professionalism, and youthful spirit combined to create a moment that viewers would never forget. The studio erupted in laughter as Betty White interacted directly with Carson, occasionally breaking the show's rhythm in the most charming way. The audience didn't just enjoy simple comedy, they witnessed perfect chemistry between two legends. Carson, despite his reputation as a masterful host, often had to yield the spotlight to Betty in several key moments. What made this moment remarkable was Betty White proving that charm, humor, and talent are not bound by age. She used her confidence and wit to shine, leaving the audience both entertained and impressed. This moment was not just a comedic sketch, it was a testament to Betty White's timeless talent and her ability to capture the hearts of viewers. More than 40 years later, Betty White overshadowing the host is still remembered whenever people talk about legendary moments in American television. It stands as a symbol not only of humor and charm but also of the power of acting and the chemistry between two veteran artists. For the audience, it remains an iconic memory where talent, confidence, and joy converge, creating an unforgettable moment in television history. On October 14, 1981, American audiences were anticipating a special evening on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, but no one was prepared for a whirlwind of energy named Robin Williams. The moment he stepped onto the stage for the first time, Williams instantly ignited the atmosphere with his enthusiasm, humor, and unparalleled improvisational talent. From the very first seconds, the audience knew they were witnessing a truly historic moment in television. Robin Williams, with his unique performance style and incredible versatility, never limited himself to ordinary dialogue. He mimicked the voices of famous characters, changed speed, rhythm, and even body movements in an extraordinarily comedic way. The audience roared with laughter, often feeling like they were watching a Broadway comedy rather than a television talk show. The interaction between Williams and Johnny Carson was essential to making this moment legendary. Carson, a host known for his skillful timing, masterfully guided the conversation, giving Williams the space to shine. He was both amazed and delighted by Williams' quick wit and creativity, occasionally yielding to the unexpected comedic scenarios Robin created. What made this moment truly unforgettable was the contagious energy. Robin Williams was like a fireball, radiating excitement, inspiration, and laughter throughout the studio. Both the live audience and viewers at home could feel the intense vitality and joy he brought. It was a rare instance where a guest on a talk show could simultaneously leave the host and audience exhilarated by limitless creativity. This moment also marked an important milestone in Williams' career. On national television, he demonstrated that his talent and improvisational skills knew no bounds. This appearance not only made him a beloved talk show star but also solidified his legendary status in the hearts of fans and the entertainment industry. More than 4 decades later, the image of Robin Williams bursting with energy on The Tonight Show remains vivid. It stands as a testament to the power of humor, limitless creativity, and youthful spirit. For fans, it is not just a television moment but a cherished memory, reminding everyone that sometimes, one passionate individual can transform an entire evening into an unforgettable experience. In the history of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, countless moments shocked and delighted audiences, yet few are as unforgettable as the banter between Joan Rivers and Johnny Carson. This was a moment where sharp humor met spontaneous reactions, creating a live verbal duel that audiences still recall vividly. Joan Rivers first appeared on The Tonight Show in the mid-1960s. She immediately won over audiences with her clever satire, charm, and lightning-fast improvisation. Johnny Carson, an experienced host, quickly recognized Rivers' unique talent and invited her to substitute for him during his absences. Each appearance by Rivers felt like a smart, unpredictable duel, where every word could become a twist that left the studio in laughter. One standout moment occurred when Rivers described her ideal man. She said, "He must make me laugh, but also give me a shock when I see the bank statements." This line made Carson laugh and had the audience erupting at her wit and bold humor. Her timing, eye contact, and gestures with Carson amplified the comedic effect, making the moment unforgettable. Other exchanges heightened the tension and humor. When Carson mentioned a hot social topic, Rivers would instantly respond with an unexpected quip, forcing Carson to retort with his own humorous line. The studio buzzed with energy, every laugh and audience reaction blended seamlessly with the sharp dialogue, turning their verbal duel into a lively, unforgettable experience. What made this moment extraordinary was the perfect coordination between two legends. Carson guided the show while giving Rivers room to shine, and Rivers reacted swiftly, creating humorous yet unpredictable situations. This synergy made the banter natural and fluid, highlighting their intelligence and innate comedic sense. Audiences not only laughed but also felt the rhythm, sharpness, and energy between Carson and Rivers. Every line landed like a mini explosion, clever and surprising. The spontaneity and humor made this moment one of the craziest and most memorable highlights in The Tonight Show history. Even though Rivers and Carson later faced off-screen tensions, their on-air banter remains vivid in viewers' memories. It demonstrates the power of intelligent humor and flexible interaction, where each word could become a legendary moment. From eye contact to gestures to sharp lines, everything combined into a flawless performance, leaving anyone watching utterly captivated. On September 26, 1974, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson witnessed one of its most outrageous moments when Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise appeared together. Both actors were already famous for their natural humor and ability to make audiences laugh with just a glance or gesture, but in this episode, they took outrageous to a whole new level, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. From the moment he stepped on stage, Dom DeLuise immediately created chaos, running around Carson's desk, climbing chairs, and even tossing small props into the air. Reynolds, playing the more composed role, tried to restore order, but his attempts only fueled unexpected comedy. The audience roared with laughter as Reynolds chased DeLuise across the stage, while Carson watched and occasionally delivered witty asides that amplified the hilarity. The sketch featured even more spontaneous antics, DeLuise pretending to get stuck in a chair, Reynolds trying to pull him down, and both performing impromptu flips and tumbles. The audience laughed not just at the dialogue, but at the sheer absurdity of their gestures, expressions, and comedic timing. Every second was full of energy and surprises, giving the impression that the stage had become a controlled chaos zone where everything was fun and unpredictable. One of the most memorable moments occurred when Reynolds tried to maintain his polished image, but DeLuise climbed onto Carson's desk to illustrate a joke. Reynolds ran to pull him down, while Carson stood nearby, laughing and delivering playful commentary. This interaction not only generated laughter but showcased the incredible chemistry among the three, letting viewers feel the pure, unforced joy emanating from the stage. What made this moment legendary was the limitless improvisation and creativity of Reynolds and DeLuise. They used every prop, every corner of the stage, and even Carson's reactions to transform a simple sketch into a wild, vivid, and unforgettable performance. The audience laughed not just at the content but at the energy and spontaneous excitement on stage, feeling as if they were witnessing two performers completely giving themselves to entertainment. This moment reminds viewers that sometimes the craziest, most unpredictable instances become the most memorable. Reynolds and DeLuise turned The Tonight Show stage into a lively playground where laughter and joy flowed freely, cementing why this is still remembered as one of television's most legendary chaotic moments. In the history of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, some moments are simply unforgettable, and George Gobel with his timeless line is one of them. On March 6, 1969, Gobel stepped onto the stage after legends Bob Hope and Dean Martin. The studio atmosphere was tense, with high expectations, but Gobel, with his signature simple and slightly awkward style, made everyone burst into laughter with just one line. "Do you ever get the feeling that the world was a tuxedo and you were a pair of brown shoes?" This line, both humorous and profound, became a symbol of Gobel's unique comedic style, self-deprecating yet charming, simple yet unforgettable. Gobel didn't need grand stunts or flashy stage tricks. With a single line, he had Johnny Carson, Bob Hope, Dean Martin, and the entire audience laughing uncontrollably. Unlike many comedians of his time, Gobel had a gentle, relatable storytelling style that always touched the audience. The line about the tuxedo and brown shoes was more than a joke, it reflected a sense of awkwardness and modesty that existed charmingly in the glamorous world of television. Viewers felt Gobel's authenticity and personality, which is why the line has endured in fans' memories for decades. Picture Gobel holding a plastic cup, standing under the stage lights with a shy yet witty smile. It has become an iconic moment of The Tonight Show. Television critics still cite this moment as proof of the power of charm and intelligence in comedy. It doesn't need extravagance, the right timing and delivery are enough to make people laugh and remember. Looking back, this moment was not just a funny laugh, It was a lesson in facing pressure and turning anxiety into endearment. George Gobel used genuine, self-deprecating charm to create a timeless moment, making anyone who watches it smile even today. That is why, more than 50 years later, his line is still mentioned among the most memorable comedy moments in American television history. The moment Jonathan Winters stepped onto the stage, the studio seemed to shift. The lights highlighted his face, and the audience immediately sensed his limitless creative energy. Without hesitation, Winters launched into his first transformation, completely changing his voice, gestures, and facial expressions, moving the audience from one laugh to another. In the 1976 broadcast, he embodied multiple characters, from the imaginary former President Millard Settlinger to everyday citizens, each with unique personalities. Each character felt alive, as if truly existing on the stage. One of the most memorable moments was Settlinger responding to Johnny Carson, "I don't need a tombstone. I want a parking meter that says expired." The audience erupted in laughter. But it wasn't just comedy. Winters' attention to every gesture, rhythm of speech, and audience reaction demonstrated his mastery of comedic psychology. Every movement and glance was carefully crafted to make each character vivid and memorable. The atmosphere was both hilarious and awe-inspiring. Johnny Carson frequently burst out laughing, the audience applauded continuously, and Winters expertly interacted with everyone on stage. His diverse transformations made each moment fresh and unpredictable, leaving the audience wondering what character would appear next. This moment remains an iconic symbol of creativity in American television comedy. Winters proved that talent and imagination have no limits, and a performer can create entirely unique experiences, transporting audiences into small worlds of laughter within minutes. The image of Jonathan Winters transforming on stage, each gesture, each humorous line, remains vivid over 50 years later. It not only entertains but also inspires generations of performers. Creativity is limitless, and audiences always crave novelty and surprise. The moment Jack Hanna stepped onto The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, the studio atmosphere instantly shifted. He wasn't merely a guest, he brought a small piece of the wild world directly to the audience. In his hands was an unexpected animal, this time a mischievous little baboon, which he introduced with humor and warmth. As Hanna released the baboon onto the stage, the audience barely had time to react before the little monkey leapt onto Johnny Carson's shoulder, scampering across in a completely unpredictable way. And no one could forget when the baboon urinated right on Carson's head. Laughter erupted across the studio, and Carson could only laugh awkwardly while Hanna calmly managed the situation and continued the conversation with remarkable composure. This moment wasn't just comedic, it showcased Hanna's skill in handling live animals. He carefully observed and guided the baboon's behavior while turning it into an educational opportunity. Throughout the segment, Hanna explained the baboon's habitat, habits, and conservation efforts, making the audience's laughter meaningful and insightful. Every time Hanna appeared, he created a miniature zoo on stage. Audiences not only enjoyed the entertainment but also learned to observe, respect, and love animals. Unpredictable antics from playful monkeys, parrots repeating words, or gentle snakes became unforgettable memories. Viewers felt Hanna's passion, love, and patience for wildlife, making him one of the most beloved guests in the show's history. Jack Hanna's miniature zoo moments continue to inspire future generations, conservationists, educators, and animal lovers alike. They prove that entertainment and education can coexist. The sounds of laughter, the audience's delighted expressions, and Carson's humorous yet composed reactions created a scene impossible to forget. As the show ended, Hanna led the baboon off stage, waving to the audience, an image etched in everyone's minds. It was not just a humorous moment but a lesson in preparation, care, and respect for animals, making The Tonight Show not only entertaining but also a valuable educational platform. That day, the studio of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson was ready for a routine taping, but everything changed the moment David Letterman stepped onto the stage. He walked out with a mischievous smile and confident eyes, ready for some unexpected jokes. The audience was stunned as Letterman fearlessly teased Johnny Carson himself, something very few would dare to do. As Letterman delivered his playful jabs, Carson could only burst out laughing. His laughter carried both surprise and genuine appreciation for the boldness of his future successor. The studio buzzed with energy, laughter echoing throughout the room. The audience witnessed a unique interaction between two generations of late-night television, the rebellious successor and the seasoned host, serious yet humorous. Letterman didn't stop at simple teasing. He continued to deliver witty lines, creating unpredictable rhythms that kept both Carson and the audience guessing his next move. Every word and gesture was precise, creating a sequence of moments that were both tense and hilarious, making it impossible for viewers to look away. The audience witnessed a perfect combination of courage and subtlety. Letterman demonstrated that even as a guest, he could command the stage with intelligence, boldness, and keen situational awareness. Carson, rather than being startled, joined the playful exchange, creating a legendary back and forth that would be remembered in late-night history. This moment highlighted Letterman's spirit, fearless, willing to push boundaries, and able to use humor to connect with the audience and fellow performers. Every gesture, glance, and smile showcased his confidence and creativity, making the taping lively, entertaining, and full of surprises. As the show ended, Letterman exited the stage while Carson continued to smile and wave, leaving a lasting impression on the audience as one of the most outrageous yet heartfelt moments in talk show history. This moment reminds us that sometimes boldness and rebellious spirit create the most unforgettable memories in entertainment. The studio of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson suddenly came alive when Don Rickles appeared, renowned for his merciless, attack-style humor. Within seconds of stepping onto the stage, he zeroed in on Carson, the show's host, launching playful yet sharp jokes. Carson, although accustomed to Rickles' antics, couldn't hide a mixture of embarrassment and delight. Every word and glance from Rickles carried mischief, surprise, and boldness, making the audience burst into laughter. Rickles didn't just speak, he controlled the rhythm, emphasizing each line with precision to maximize comedic effect. Every assault was perfectly timed, enough to provoke Carson's reactions, enough to make the audience laugh uncontrollably. Viewers could clearly sense the special chemistry between the two, Rickles as the instigator, Carson as the responder, both in perfect harmony, creating immortal moments in late-night television history. What made this moment unforgettable was Rickles' ability to turn audacity into art. He aimed at Carson with unexpected jabs, but never crossed the line, maintaining charm and intelligence. Carson, with his sharp wit and quick thinking, responded cleverly to each remark, amplifying the laughter and audience enjoyment. Each of Carson's reactions was expertly read by Rickles, turning the exchange into a humorous dance, both tense and entertaining. The audience didn't just watch, they felt the rhythm, energy, and teamwork between two legends. Their prankster laughter dynamic proved that humor is not just about words, but an art of performance, timing, and emotional control. That taping was more vibrant than ever. Laughter echoed, eyes widened, smiles spread across the room, creating a moment both hilarious and memorable, full of emotional depth. Rickles and Carson transformed an ordinary taping into a legendary event, where every gesture, movement, and word became an unforgettable memory. As the show ended, Rickles exited the stage with a mischievous smile, Carson still laughing and applauding, leaving the audience with a perfect display of two masters' interplay, bold, entertaining, and deeply human. This moment reminds us that in entertainment, surprise and a rebellious spirit create unforgettable memories, leaving audiences laughing and admiring the artistry of legends. The moment Kermit the Frog bobbed onto the stage, the show seemed to light up in a magical way. Kermit's mischievous eyes, combined with Jim Henson's lively voice work, immediately caught Carson off guard. Both Carson and the audience were drawn into the conversation, as if Kermit were a living being, capable of witty and spontaneous dialogue. Kermit began with playful questions about Carson's life and work, peppered with gentle teasing that left the host both surprised and laughing. Carson, a master of comedic timing, had to improvise instantly, creating an interaction full of energy and unexpected humor. Every line and gesture from Kermit was carefully designed to be funny yet charming, making viewers fully believe in this real conversation between a human and a puppet. Jim Henson, standing off stage, skillfully controlled Kermit with subtle yet precise movements, shoulder shrugs, head tilts, hand gestures and perfect timing. Each action amplified the comedic effect and Carson's reactions. The audience not only laughed at the lines but were amazed by Kermit's lifelike presence, feeling as though the puppet had its own personality. This moment was more than just funny. It showcased exceptional creativity in television, seamless coordination between human and puppet, control over pacing and storytelling, delivering surprises, and keeping the audience fully engaged. Carson and Kermit became a perfect duo, where every line and reaction complemented each other, turning the taping into a vivid, unforgettable experience. Laughter, delighted expressions, and unstoppable smiles filled the studio. Kermit, though only a puppet, stole the show with intelligence, mischief, and interactive charm. Carson, with his expert improvisation, combined with the puppet's antics, created moments viewers could never forget. As the show ended, Kermit bowed while Carson continued laughing and applauding, leaving an image both humorous and magical. This moment reminds us that in entertainment, imagination and limitless creativity can produce memories that are vivid, emotionally engaging, and unforgettable. The story didn't start on stage, but with the room bursting into laughter as Richard Pryor shared a candid story about his personal life. For a brief moment, everyone held their breath, unsure what he would say next, and then erupted into laughter. Pryor made no attempt to sugarcoat or soften the truth. His blunt, raw delivery made every detail vivid and unforgettable. Each of Pryor's stories was a masterful punch of humor. He exaggerated everyday situations, highlighting irony, absurdity, and minor injustices in life, leaving the audience both shocked and laughing. Carson, usually in control of the show's rhythm, almost stepped back this time, watching Pryor shine freely. The host's gaze showed a mix of surprise and admiration, creating a natural and captivating interaction. Pryor's unexpected twists in storytelling kept viewers fully engaged. He knew exactly when to pause for laughter and how to emphasize punchlines for maximum effect. Every gesture, glance, and flexible delivery demonstrated the power of honesty and comedy. Sometimes, facing the truth head-on produces the strongest laughs. Although Jim Henson and Kermit weren't present, Pryor filled the stage with energy and wit alone. Every story and line made the audience feel like they were part of a vibrant journey where truth and humor intertwined perfectly. His confidence and bold style turned the taping into a unique, unforgettable experience. The studio buzzed with energy, laughter echoed, eyes sparkled, smiles spread uncontrollably. Pryor created a moment both raw and hilarious, yet deeply human. Carson's expert improvisation highlighted each detail, making the audience feel like active participants in the performance. As the show ended, Pryor bowed with confident power, Carson applauded, and the audience continued laughing. This moment reminds us that in entertainment, honesty, courage, and self-assurance create timeless memories. Each story by Pryor proves that comedy is not only about laughter but also the art of boldness and authenticity. In 1992, the studio was filled with a feeling of emptiness yet warmth. Millions of hearts watched through screens, yet in that moment, everyone felt an unusual closeness to Carson. As he paused, gripping the microphone, emotion surged through him, a deep sadness, a profound gratitude, and an unwavering love for the audience he had shared 30 years with. His words were not just a thank you, they were confessions, reflections on a life lived with viewers. Carson's warm voice faltered slightly, a tear rolling down his cheek, making everyone collectively hold their breath. There was no laughter, no bright lights, only the sound of hearts connecting, joining his own in a moment of quiet but powerful emotion. Every sentence, every breath, revealed Carson's true self, stripped of humor or host persona. He wanted to leave the audience with something precious, genuine affection, a timeless connection, and a reminder that every laugh, every joke, every joyful moment had been treasured. The space seemed to pause, gentle light highlighting Carson's face, painting an image of pure emotion. Viewers didn't just tear up, they felt happiness mingled with sorrow, warmth mingled with loneliness, everything Carson experienced in his farewell. Every tear, every soft sob, told a story of gratitude, memory, and the connection created over 30 years. Carson bowed one final time, a quiet yet heartfelt smile on his face, eyes full of love and appreciation. As the screen darkened, the feeling lingered, peace, deep emotion, and a farewell that spoke volumes of care and gratitude. This moment was not just the end of a legendary show, it touched millions of American hearts, leaving them with the memory of Carson as both a legend and a true, sincere friend. This farewell reminded everyone that genuine emotion can be more powerful than laughter, and silence, paired with tears and heartfelt feeling, can leave a lasting imprint far beyond any comedic performance. It was a perfect blend of memory, love, and the enduring strength of a man who dedicated his life to his audience. And that's a wrap on the 16 wildest moments from Johnny Carson's The Tonight Show, from bold guest antics and unexpected comedy to the heartfelt, tearful farewell. Each moment proves Carson's irresistible charm. He wasn't just a host, but a friend, a witness to laughter, tears, and emotion spanning decades. Just when you think you've seen it all, Carson reminds us that surprises and joy can appear at any moment, in just one unforgettable instant. Thank you for watching with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming videos uncovering legendary, unexpected, and truly memorable moments in television history.